Welcome to Circles Off, presented by Underdog. I'm Rob Pizzola. Joined to my right, Uncle K, Joey Knish from Hit the Books YouTube channel. How are things?
Live in the studio, baby. Feeling good here. Looking forward to this being a part of America and us all being one country here soon.
I know you like this whole shtick of like the man of the people, which I've kind of been stealing as well. But we have to point out you did lose a bet. That's why you're here. It's not like a man of the people. I'm here in studio for the the sanctity of everyone, getting everyone's good graces. That had nothing to do with that.
I might. Hey, once we're all Americans, I might relocate up here. So we'll see.
I mean, that's not happening. Jacob producing behind the glass here as well. This is going to be a Q&A episode. And a lot of people will say, well, Rob, how are you doing a Q&A? I didn't see the tweet that went out with questions. I didn't see you guys post anything on the YouTube communities, anything like that. I'm going to let a little secret come into play here. But we didn't read every Q&A question that we've ever gotten in the history of the show. So typically in the past, my co-host Johnny, he would organize this whole episode. The questions would go to him. But sometimes we record, and there's just way too many questions to get to, so some got cut off. Sometimes neither of us had like valuable experience with the what was being asked, and we didn't want to answer it. But what we've done, we've gone back about 18 months now and looked at questions that we didn't cover in our Q&As, and we're going to get those into the episode today. So Uncle K, Joey Knish, myself, Bobby Pizza, answering your questions. Before we get into it, though, if you're looking for a fun and easy way to get in on the action, you've got to check out Underdog. Right now, when you sign up and deposit using code CIRCLES, you'll get up to $1,000 in bonus credit. Plus, you get a free pick to help you along the way. The free pick that you're getting for this episode, Luka Doncic, higher than a half point. Higher than a half point. That ain't going to lose, dude.
No, I like it.
It's just like 99.9%. I mean, if it loses, I assume Underdog will just be like, it's okay. Like, we'll just give you another free pick another time, right? That's the free pick. It's a slam dunk. Luka over half. Can't get much easier than that. With Underdog, you do not need to be a fantasy expert to win. You don't have to do a lot of crazy research or anything along those lines. It's a very fun and easy way to play. They have pick'em and champions contests. Makes it pretty simple. You draft your lineup, you make your picks, you enjoy the game. It's that simple. Choose higher, lower on your favorite players. Sit back, watch the action unfold with a brewski or whatever you're drinking. Cup of water, like Joey K these days.
Yeah.
Clean.
Hey, clean. Still no caffeine in this baby.
There you go.
Just pure
water.
Pure Toronto gold.
Absolutely. Don't miss out. Sign up using code CIRCLES or click the link in the description below. Score your bonus and your free pick. Underdog makes fantasy sports easy, fun, and rewarding. And as always, please play responsibly. All right.
Yeah.
I like that Betstamp shirt on you, by the way.
You know what? A company man through and through.
Yeah, I mean, Betstamp's not our company.
Well, I mean,
supporting friends.
It's all right. It's all one, conglomerate that
exactly. All right, let's get to the hard-hitting questions.
The ones that some would say Johnny wouldn't answer.
I love Johnny.
Couldn't answer.
He's a great friend of mine. Some things he didn't want to speak to publicly for obvious reasons. He said, I don't want to answer that, so we're not going to answer that. Some, just not his area of expertise. Like if it's I'm not going to ask you like sophisticated modeling questions or. You
don't want me to show you up with the answer? It's not because it'd be too boring. Yeah, I get it.
Exactly. All right. So betting related questions.
These are the banned questions. What did it say? The lost tapes.
You know
lost
tapes. That's got to be the title of the episode.
Yeah.
We're not going far enough with the clickbaity titles.
Yeah, I agree.
We got to go hard clickbait title for this.
Yeah.
Banned
the questions.
Nobody would
answer.
Oh, that's good.
I
was looking for the right wording. I would have found it, I think, at some point, but I think that might be it.
Yes. We had to get a guy up here from Detroit to answer some of these.
Oof. Okay. What is the biggest bet you've ever placed, and how did it go?
Who's starting? One of us.
Okay, so I've publicly stated this before, but for the record, this sounds incredibly dumb.
It actually might be the same I'm interested to see now if it's
the biggest
same.
bet I've ever placed was a Super Bowl national anthem.
The biggest
bet I've ever placed was a Super Bowl national anthem.
This is that's
when Pink was singing. I don't know if it was the same year as
what
you.
I was going to say.
It was Pink.
Yeah.
So how did it go? It went really, really well. It was extremely lucrative to know the outcome and then be able to bet on it. And at that time, I had a relationship with another Canadian bookie who was only taking bets from like high-profile clients. And he used to always give me a bet every year on the anthem. And people would be like, this is so stupid. Like, why would they ever do that? He literally would give me a huge bet on the anthem so that he knew what the right side of the anthem was.
I gotcha.
And then he was taking some other high-profile bets on that. So the biggest bet I've ever placed was, as much as some people would consider an illiquid market, was Super Bowl national anthem with Pink.
It's funny because I thought you were going to say, and it was the same year. That year.
Yeah.
So this is before all the, the video came out that one guy did where nobody offered. Like, you could get down. I remember it, like, specifically that night, probably maybe 2 hours before the game. Bookmaker had it up for $1,000 hits with rebets, and somebody was constantly betting the other side. Like, people would just come in and keep betting the other side.
Right.
So, and this is like, we've already had the info before.
Yep.
It's won before. We think it's good. I'm sitting there like on the screen already with a big position, but someone's bet. This is like if you think, Aaron Rodgers in his prime is going to be out and the line's going to move, 14 points in your favor, and someone else is jamming the other side at you. I'm like, we already know the answer. You're like, we are, assume 99.9% probability. And someone's betting the other side. So ended up with, Do you want to say?
I don't like to give exact monetary amounts.
I'm not even sure I know the exact, because it was spread through a number of different. I'll say that it was over. It was close to $100,000.
Okay, yeah. So people, I think that I bet more than I do. I'm just going to put it out there. I bet a significant amount of money on games, but I'm not betting. Like Sean Perry comes on the Spaces is like, if I was betting, he's telling Spanky, if I was betting 100K, I'd blow my brains out and stuff like that. I'm not betting 100K a game. That would be a significant bet for me. But I have had plenty of what I call bridge jumpers.
Yeah.
Before, where it was like, 150K to win 5K, 10K, stuff like that. Those are, I wouldn't recommend them to everyone, but like technically those would be my biggest bets that I've made. And those are just things that are incredibly mispriced. And, some people would say that betting LeBron James 10 plus points is the biggest bets they've ever had in their life because people are throwing down so much money at minus 7,000 and stuff like that. Tough question to answer for sure. Hey guys, big fan of the show, listening a while. Love how honest and transparent you are about the ups and downs of betting. Appreciate that. I wanted to ask, what's the biggest misconception that recreational bettors have about the sports betting world? Is there something you hear a lot that makes you think, man, people just don't get it? Thanks for everything, Jake.
I don't know if it applies as much right now in today's climate, but for the majority of my life, I would have said fading the public. Or like the bet percentage. Because I remember, and you've talked about this before, when I was first getting into betting, I thought, I was like, this is the golden goose. Like, I get it. So like, oh my God, someone in Sweden, now there's 89% on the Steelers. It's free money on the other side. I don't know if that's as prevalent. Like, it doesn't seem like the Gen Zs are that into it. Maybe it's because there is no opposite side of a 6-game SGP. But that, to me, for the majority of my lifetime was info that I thought was relevant for a portion of my career. And then now, like, up until SGPs took over everything, that seemed to be the thing that people would be like, oh, you can't. And you still, in water cooler conversation, you still hear people be like, oh, everybody seems to be on that side.
For me, the biggest misconception, I used to think stuff like that all the time. I don't know that I hear the public betting so much anymore.
Seems to have died in the last couple of years. Not dead, but it's not as popular as it once was.
I don't know the reason for that, but I agree. For me, the weirdest thing that I hear from rec bettors is that they actually don't believe that there is such thing as a pro bettor. Have you not seen that more and more with the guys in the spaces now, where like they're responding to your tweets? It's like, yeah, pro bettor, ha ha ha. Like, like there's just the assumption that everyone loses and that the sports books are going to win in the long run, no matter what. I see more and more of that these days, which is I find really, really weird.
Can I give one actually?
Go for it.
I think the biggest misconception. I'm obviously not a pro bettor, but when I tell people I work in sports betting media, the assumption is like I can just so who's going to win tonight? Who should I bet tonight? So like I'm sure you get this as well. If you tell people you're a bettor, they probably ask
the
who's going to win tonight.
The normies want to know what the side is. If you're a pro bettor, if you're in media, then just give me a winner.
You make money for a living on this stuff. Who's winning Thursday night football tonight?
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Here. Let me do 30 minutes on why it's why that doesn't make sense. But no, you just.
Well, yeah, you can't exactly. You can't. You know, I golf on Thursdays a lot in September, and then I do Thursday night football live stream. And the guys I'm golfing with are my dad's buddies, and it's always the same thing. Who's playing tonight? Who do you like on the spread? And I'm not going to sit there for 45 minutes and explain to them how the betting market works. I'm going to be like, I didn't bet the game. If I had to bet the game, I'd bet this side. That's always the usual answer. This one might be up your alley. What's the weirdest prop bet that you've ever made? I'll let you think about this for 1 second.
I got it already.
Okay, let's go.
It honestly, it came to me as soon as you said it. The Miss Universe contest, like maybe it's got to be 4 or 5 years ago now.
You know what? I'm about to do a Telegram search of Miss Universe.
Yeah,
because I briefly recall. You if you don't want to name names, don't name names. You name as much of the story as you want to here.
It was posted by. You want me to say the book?
Yeah, go for it.
It was my bookie.
Yeah.
Back when they were like kind of starting out, and a mutual person we know, I would not call a friend, but was the
forgot about him.
Yes, the head bookmaker there. Mm-hmm. And they posted. I want to say it was either Miss Costa Rica or Miss Dominican Republic, and me and I'll give him a shout out. He's a Canadian guy, Jackson Shoop. He goes by on Twitter.
I know him. Yeah.
Actually started watch. There was like a YouTube of people that were breaking down this contest, and we could kind of gander of what there was some prelims or something. Like some Miss Universe prelims of who was actually had a chance to win, and he was either Miss Costa Rica, Mr. at 50-1.
Yeah.
When she probably should have been like 3-1.
Right.
And I sent this is when I sent this around to like a lot of people. And might have had a few everybody in the Knish family had a MyBookie account at that point. And that one, it was like a $50 or $100 max. Yep. But there was a lot of bets on Miss. I want to say it's Miss Dominican Republic when she won Miss Universe. So that was my favorite. Because it's not like this was not like national anthem where we knew the winner.
Right.
There was actually legitimate handicapping involved in this, and it was just a bad price that they had posted. And especially the fact that we got one over on that book with that person was very gratifying.
I think it was Miss Mexico.
It was definitely
I'm going through
South American, Central American country.
Yeah, because it was Denmark won this year, Nicaragua the year before. Was it Nicaragua?
No. It might even go back.
U.S., India, Mexico, South Africa, Philippines, South Africa.
Philippines.
It was Philippines.
That's the one.
2018.
That's the one. Yes, Miss Philippines. That is the one.
Gray.
Yes. Now the name rings a bell. That is the one. I dated myself 7 years ago now, but yeah, that is the one. Miss Philippines, the one that got away. If I wish I could tell her the story myself one time. But yeah, that is the one that. And I don't think they posted that anymore. After there's a tweet, you can't really search on that on Trash app anymore. But if you search Joey Universe, you should be able to find it in some capacity. Because I think I actually gave it out on Twitter like right the day before. Like we had already loaded up. I think the contest was that night, and I like tweeted it out earlier. Yeah, and when that hit, that was a good one.
All right. For me, it's not a great story like that. That's a great story.
Yeah.
When I was in my early 20s, I was working late nights as a radio producer, and I used to play poker at the same time. Party Poker also had party bets at that time, and I used to bet on the last digit of the closing price of the Nikkei stock index. That's
the Nikkei?
Nikkei. Nikkei. I think it's, I don't know if it's Japanese.
I was going to say, is that the Japan stock market?
Yeah, let's look it up right now. The Nikkei Stock Exchange, or the Nikkei 225, is a stock market index for the Tokyo Stock Exchange.
Okay.
So I used to bet on the last digit of the closing price of that market.
And because the time difference, it probably lined up where like
there was nothing else going on.
Yeah.
So I'd be at the office at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And it just became like an office thing at that point, where there was nothing else left to bet. Live betting wasn't as prevalent at that time.
Yeah.
So you'd bet the late baseball games or the late starts, but after that there was nothing going on. So yeah, I definitely did not make money.
What were the odds you were getting?
Not good. Like bad.
Do you like? I know, obviously bad. But
Yeah, it's like there's like a 20% hold on the market, but when you're
wait a minute, so where was it?
20-year-old kid, you don't know.
Where was it posted at?
Party bets.
Okay. All right.
Because I'm ashamed to say this, but I would play poker at work.
Yeah.
When the show was happening on air.
You're right.
What do you think I'm doing?
I was like, a secondary producer. You know how Elf has like that intern BJ covers just to like document the show.
Yeah.
I was like doing that type of stuff, but I'd always be playing poker in the background as well. And if I had a good night on party,
yeah, then it's time to hit the Nikkei.
I had to hit the Nikkei index. All right. What's the wildest thing that you've ever done to get a bet down? I don't have wild betting stories. You probably have stuff where you've like pushed people over at the kiosks and shit to get bets in.
There was a bet. It happened probably it was in this country where I live across. It's like 15 minutes from the border. And there was...
So you drove to Canada to place a bet?
Drove to Canada, but it was in not the current Proline days, but
the old ones.
The
convenience store.
Yeah, the convenience store days.
Yeah.
Where even before the scan and app, where you had to manually fill out the tickets.
The Scantron card yeah.
So it would be like Friday night, they'd have some college football going Saturday morning, and it would be, I'm not even going to say, I mean, we're talking like maybe 1.5 across a key number or something. They'd have 4.5, the market be 3.
Yep.
And I would just go on Friday night, but the thrilling life that I have, and just the first time I remember it specifically, I didn't know that one, the cards were $100 max, and B, you had to hand fill them out. So like my wrist the next day was throbbing in pain because I had to fill out so many. I'd take them to the counter and they'd be like, you want how many of these? And I was like, just as many as you can give them to me. So that, and I mean, we're talking, that was a lot of labor to get down maybe like $5,000. So
your boy so you once did an episode with me on this channel where it was best and worst gambling Twitter accounts that we talked about.
Yeah.
And you give
that was a popular one.
Positivo as one of the worst.
Yeah. He didn't like that.
He would have to do what you were doing every single day.
I respect it.
But they made a lot. They made a lot doing that. But yeah, it's like carpal tunnel type of stuff.
Right.
Like after a while, there ended up being some automated solutions for that where you could just feed the cards through a printer.
Oh, okay.
And it would automatically get the ink in the proper spots.
But
yeah. Before that, you're filling those up by hand, my man.
Yeah, I would. There was they're all about the same. Is like I've driven to the west side of Michigan for a casino.
Yep.
I've driven to Ohio, Indiana to get bets down that were state specific or like bonuses there.
Yeah.
But they're all kind of that same ilk of just going a long distance to get something down.
Yeah. I don't have any wild stories. Like the closest I would say like to a wild story, it's not wild, it's just kind of ironic, is when you have to use someone that you don't like you truly despise to help you get down on a bet. because they're the best person for that. And I've had that happen a couple times before. Aside from that.
Yeah. There was some times where these were not people I didn't like, but they were people in like Australia.
Yeah.
That like they would have a certain market. I remember years ago, like NFL draft, they would have some stuff up in the UK and Australia that was either not available in the States or was way off market.
Yeah.
And so you'd have to be like, 6 degrees of separation of like this person knows this person who knows somebody in England or knows somebody in Australia to be able to get me down, 3,000 on an NFL draft prop.
Yeah, because like I'm not executing most of these bets. So like there's always like the mad scramble that happens whenever you get a piece of info or like this is really good, this is mispriced.
Yep.
I just basically am passing that off to somebody else in exchange for a percentage of the overall bet because I don't have a huge market to bet it myself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I know the right person to talk to. So there's no wild betting stories there. Let's keep it moving here. Who is the sharpest bettor that you've ever met and what did you learn from them? For me, at Bet Bash last year, I met Jelko. Jelko, I'm going to butcher his last name, so I'm not even going to try it. But I think he's Australian and now lives in London. Jelko made tons from blackjack, Keno, but then horse racing, and then got into sports. Got to talk with it. That's actually shameless plug for Bet Bash. I mean, I don't make anything off Bet Bash, but I attend every year. I think if you find sports betting interesting, you want to network with people, that's the place to go. The one thing I did learn from him, because he's in his 60s now, the best bet, like to achieve that level of betting, these guys never lose their drive.
Yeah.
Like it's never enough.
Yep.
And to hear him talk, like it's like, why are you here?
Yeah.
You're probably a billionaire.
Yep.
You're slumming it up with like people who are way beneath you. And he's just like, I'm always looking for new originators. If somebody has an edge in something, I can help them out. And it's like, I cannot imagine if I was in my 60s with that level of wealth, showing up to Bet Bash, having GRP come up to introduce himself to you. And
having doesn't know who you are.
Exactly. And he's telling you about his,
thinks that him meeting you is something
important. Of course, showing you his NFL futures portfolio, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, I guess it's that to achieve that level of greatness in betting, you just have to have that drive to constantly keep going. And he was a great guy to chat with.
Just to add to that, I want to call it maybe about 5 years ago, I used to have, I'd still run some PPH accounts, but not the volume that I used to. Jelko's horses were getting botted. The PPHs were posting horse matchups.
Okay, yeah.
And his stuff was basically getting into it was the best stuff I've ever seen in terms of like the win.
ROI was absurd.
ROI. You would never have a losing week with this. It was just like, how long could you keep this going? So I owe a small percentage of my net worth to Jelko. So yeah, his stuff was I think the best I've seen across the PPH thing for a while. I hate to give this guy his flowers because he's never going to let me hear the end of it. But call customer service, who you've had on. We met a while ago on a networking trip and started doing business together. And he's a little older than I am, a lot less hair than I have. I'm talking to somebody who's not exactly who's holding on.
Let's not go down this path.
But he taught me a lot about. I just modeled after how he did, and we still do business together to this day. But in how he was moving, how he kind of approached looking for new people, we talk maybe like at length once a month of just how things are going, what the next thing is, that type of thing. So and again, you can listen to that episode, circle back that he's been on before, company man here with the promo, but.
It was one of my favorite episodes to do. Now I know him well.
Yeah.
I saw him this past week in Boston as well.
In terms of, I would just, a person that I don't know, that I've never met, with Hagrin, who's kind of on Twitter, like, there's, and not to promote another, show on, there's an episode of a podcast he did that is about, I want to say it was 2.5 hours, and I've never been so mind blown in terms of.
Hagrin is my white whale for this podcast.
Okay.
Like, and this is not to disrespect anyone else. Right? Like, everyone wants to hear Haralabob. Haralabob recently did a pod.
Yeah.
Like, you got to get him. And I would love to interview Haralabob. Don't get me wrong. But Hagrin is, like, for me, most interesting man in the world that I know nothing about.
Yeah.
That I would love to converse with.
Yes. I think that would be an all-timer if you could get him.
Yeah. Hey, Rob and Johnny. Not Johnny.
No.
Hey, Rob and Uncle K.
Yep.
Well, you know what? This one makes way more sense for you. I could see why Johnny didn't do this one. I really enjoy the pod, have learned a ton from listening. I've been betting on sports for a few years now, mostly recreationally, but I'm trying to take it more seriously. I've heard you talk about movers and betting groups before. I've always wondered, how does someone get into that world? Do most movers start out betting solo, or do they usually have connections from the start? What advice would you give to someone trying to break into that side of the business? Appreciate your insights, Alex. This might be Moretto, maybe.
Yeah, Moretto will look at the. He was going to say, late to the office, and not trying to figure out how to be a mover.
I don't know. Listen, I've again, I don't bet for other people.
Yeah.
I never have, so I can't answer.
I'll try and give it as quick as possible. I think the first thing you need is access to a ton of accounts and liquidity. So when I was starting, it was like a 3-pronged. I was able to start acquiring a bunch of PPH accounts to get down in that route. I had local Michigan legalized, so then I had local actual casino liquidity.
Yep.
And also then app liquidity from the state. So there was another, you'd have your 6 to 8 PPH books. Yep. And as many accounts as you can on there. I'd have my 3 casinos that I could go to all in person and kiosks there. Then I'd have all the rest of the apps that there might not be a casino located closely, but you'd have the apps, and then connections I had built over the year where if I couldn't get down something, I mean, even earlier today, as I'm sitting here in studio, people have sent me stuff and I might not be able to fill it right now, but I can send it to somebody who I know will. All of that said, it takes a lot of capital then to have that. And I've seen the biggest issue I've seen with movers over the years when it goes bad is they don't know what good stuff is. They're over betting stuff, or they're not fully capitalized. And I said this a long time ago on a podcast, and I still mean it to this day, where if I lost every single bet I made that day for numerous people moving, it wouldn't. Again, would that day suck? Yes. Would I still be fine capital-wise? Yes. And I think a lot of people, especially that I've seen go bust with the mover route, is they don't have the right amount of capital to do it, or they don't have the span of accounts and liquidity to actually be able to really help. The last piece is probably identifying people that can actually win.
Yeah.
Which that's more art than science too, because someone shows me. You guys talked about it if someone shows me a Pickett record,
yes,
that's not doing nothing for me, right? Like,
yes.
So there's just ways that I can't even fully explain, where you can tell probably early on if this person is a winner, and then why do they need the last aspect? Why do they need me? Why do we need each other? Because if you're betting NFL sides,
what the fuck?
You don't need me.
Yeah.
And so if you're safe, that would be the biggest red flag. If you're saying, well, I beat NFL side, need a mover. No, you really don't. It's what kind of markets can you beat? Some of the niche stuff that I still do. How early in the week do you bet? And those type of things that all play into it. It's been very beneficial for me, but I had a lot of things, a social media presence to be able to get accounts. Michigan legalizing at the right time, being in the span of casinos. I had all those things lined up to make it work.
Right.
If you don't have that, it's going to be a lot tougher.
All right. Hey, guys, love the podcast. I've been listening since the early episodes. Really appreciate the insight you bring to the sports betting world. This is real here. I have a question that I'd love for you to get to Knish.
Hey, here we go.
About
You
time.
got when was this asked?
I think Mike from Philly's been waiting, I think, over a year. But we finally got the question to
Mike from Philly, baby. I came in just to you for the studio to answer this, baby.
I've been following Knish for a while on Twitter. I know you guys said he made a name for himself as a mover. I get the basic concept of moving lines, but I'd love to hear more about how it works on a deeper level. So you've answered some of this. Are you coordinating with other bettors, or is it more of a solo operation? How do you manage keeping books from catching on to what you're doing, though?
So I would say part of the benefit of being what the mover brings is to try and get down without destroying the market. So some of that, especially like anybody can go to Chris or Penny or Bet Online or any of those and start jamming the screen. So you need it. Kind of one of the benefits there, or like what I would bring to the table, is if somebody wants to get down on like a WNBA overnight or something, would be to be able to get them a respectable position and not move the number at all. That would be the end goal. And that number's not going to be,
And also frankly, also to get a position for yourself.
Correct.
Correct. It's not just their position.
Yes.
It's not.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm not Mother Teresa. I'm not doing it out of the joy of my heart. It's that I know this stuff is going to win long term, and I can get a position at a premium number that's not going to then destroy. Because if this person then wants to go and maybe bet it in the morning, maybe bet it something more day, maybe get some more down. If I go right to the screen and click the number, they could do that themselves.
Right.
So that's part of it. I would say there are times when I'll coordinate with other people, depending on how much, or depending on how good something is, or if we all want to try and get the same number. It's on a case-by-case basis, though. Because the more you do that, the more people the more heat that play is going to bring then.
Yeah, totally understand that. One more moving question here. Guys, big fan of the show. I always appreciate the mix of sharp betting insight and just shooting the shit. It makes for a great listen. Do appreciate that. I've always wondered, when someone's moving lines for a betting group, how often do they find themselves disagreeing with the plays that they're being asked to bet on? Do movers ever pass on a move because they don't like the position, or is it always strictly business? Thank you for the great content, Sarah. Sarah, one of the 1% of female listeners on Circle Off. Appreciate you, Sarah. Hope you're subbed. Do you ever pass on positions because you think it's shit? Or like if someone wanted to bet against the Lions, what are you doing?
Here's where self-awareness plays a big key. Because I know that outside of college football, which is the one sport where I'll take an opinion, I don't know shit about fucking shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, if someone's...
I'm glad you said it. I would have.
Yeah, you would have backed up here. So I have to take...
That's a great soundbite.
Honestly, we should put that on the board.
That's a great
right next to Are You Fucking Kidding Me from GRP, it's Knish saying, I don't know shit about shit.
That's great.
I would say you've really got to take your opinion out of it. And as I had mentioned, like, I don't know shit about fucking shit when it comes to anything but, college football for the most part. I might have the occasional opinion on a college football side or total I do agree with. Now, some people might take that and, if somebody wants a 5K position, and they might just book that position. I wouldn't recommend doing that.
Yeah. We would not recommend booking anything illegally on this program.
But if you have that opinion, that strong opinion, then, there's that option, which again, we don't recommend. For myself, it's the self-awareness, just to know that I shouldn't even have an opinion. Right. I don't have enough, there's not enough, most of the sports I'm doing, I'm not paying attention, I'm not modeling any of that stuff. So why would I have an opinion on something that it's kind of like you just got to be very strict with I'm just going to do. You get yourself into a bad place if you start taking opinions on stuff that you really shouldn't have an opinion on.
Yes. Is there a favorite way for you guys to disguise your action? Okay, I mean, generally, I like to bet stuff that's not going to get this is counterintuitive to everything that you teach people about betting, right? I really respect closing line. In everything I do, I want to get closing line value. However, I want to find ways to bet where I'm actually not getting closing line value. And I know that's a lot for people to unpack, right? But if you could bet in a spot that's, 10 cents off market at post, and you can get in a click where the number at that sportsbook is not going to move.
Yep.
I like to do stuff like that. So ultimately for me, like the favorite way to disguise action, listen, there's some things you're just going to bet that are going to get good closing line. Like there's nothing you can do about it. If I want to bet an NHL game at 8 a.m. and there's only so much liquidity, you bet it out, the market's going to move, that's that. But I think generally I do like getting what I know is a good position that doesn't close well.
Yep. I would say my favorite way to try and mask action is to use a kiosk at a non-market moving book with no player's card. Okay. So it would be...
You learned that from Man in the Library, right?
Yeah. On the Spaces.
You're learning all the time.
Where if you can hit something at a book that you know is not going to move the line unless the market moves, and not have it linked to your card, and then there's other ways to go about, keeping that rolling or cashing the tickets and stuff. That's probably the most concrete way I've seen moving stuff to mask the action. Now, it might be tough to get a lot of liquid down, and there might be some blowback from the place you're doing it at. So I'm not going to say that's the end-all, be-all for masking action, but it's one of the strategies I've used.
See, like I have very little experience with kiosk betting. When I was at Encore Boston, they had the sportsbook, the Ohio State, the sportsbook. They were taking $300.
Yeah.
At the kiosk with no player's card, and it's just like at that point, I don't really want to go down that endeavor any further.
Well, that means you're standing there for 30 more minutes, and
that's what I'm saying.
Getting them for $300 apiece.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's very time consuming.
Well, I was going to say the time I've spent in front of a kiosk screen has a lot of years off.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you actually did the math on that.
Yeah. I hope
sick.
Yes, I was going to say. Yeah. I'm glad no one can do it.
Like in January, I did the math on how much money I spent on coffee last year.
Yeah.
And when I saw the amount,
it
was really disturbing.
Yeah. It's a gut punch.
Like, get me some help, please. That can't be the right price. Now I see why Fez uses the fucking comps.
Yeah, right.
Honestly, I shit on it, but I should be doing that. What's the most underrated tool or resource for bettors? Okay, well, this is a great time for me to plug Betstamp Pro. I'll tell you right now. I do believe Betstamp Pro is the best player props odds screen on the market right now, with more innovation coming. I know you've used it for sure.
Yes.
It is really, really good. There's very limited licenses on it.
I wouldn't be wearing the shirt if I didn't like it.
There you go. I mean, the problem with a lot of these top-down tools nowadays is they're so mass market that a bet gets sent out.
Yes.
Thousands of people bet it. The numbers move. You get limited real quick. Betstamp Pro, because it's designed by other pro bettors, you're not going to run into those same types of problems. That's not to say you're never going to get limited. You're never going to have issues getting a number. But we try to work around that a lot. So to me, that's that. Now, price point is very high. It's not for everyone. If you're serious about betting, it's going to be a useful tool. We'll drop the link down in the description below if you want to click that. The most underrated tool or resource, though, is going to really depend on what kind of bettor you are.
Yeah,
right?
I would agree.
I mean, technically, for me, the most underrated tool, I think, is Google.
That is where I was going to go with this.
People don't Google shit enough.
Yeah.
They just send messages to one another, buddies on the side, and it's like, even DMs I get on Twitter, I respond to them. I don't want to be the asshole that's like, did you try Googling it?
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, did you try Google?
Right. And so I'm not the biggest math guy in the world, as many would suffice. But like, if I want to calculate the probability on something, or a money line conversion, or a theoretical hold, you you don't have to be a fucking genius to do it. You just you go into Google, you find some link that has like a lot of type what you want and put it in there, and it gives the number for you.
Right.
So that's one that I think is underutilized just in terms of like basic math to like either convert probabilities or do hold percentage or any of that type of stuff. How much VIG am I paying? How much should this half point be worth?
Right.
Those are all, that information is all accessible.
Right.
That you can just go out there and get it. And I didn't, listen, Joey K didn't, I'm not teaching stats 101 here at the local community college to figure out.
You're not even teaching second grade stats.
No,
Never mind stats 101.
I'm just punching it in and getting the answer. Yep. And so that's, hey, I feel like that's...
yeah, betting tools are great online now, especially free ones like DVIG calculators, all sorts of stuff like that. Like that's so yeah, for me, it's Google. I mean, it really depends on what you want to do, honestly. Here's an interesting one. Choose one. Early morning bets or late night bets.
This has changed. Like my entire life flipped upside, like down. Where I used to be, especially during COVID, was working from home.
Yep.
I would be up until the wee hours, like late nights of the morning, like not waking up early and now it has shifted where kind of I'm up earlier in the morning because of Joey corporate, and the first thing I'm doing when I'm starting kind of off the day, even before I'm like in the shower and stuff, is like I'll check my Telegram messages, take a stock of like where anything I need to fill, where the mark does at, pull up the screen real quick and all that. Yep. And usually I've fired out some stuff within 15, 30 minutes of being awake. I don't do as much of I did late night for a long time. But I think there's more value in terms of North American, what time we're on and when events happen, of getting up and placing earlier than placing very late. Like if you want to bet overnights, but you can bet overnights at, 7, 8, 9 p.m. Doesn't have to be 2 in the morning.
Right.
Whereas you can kind of wake up early and get before some limits raised places. So
yeah.
Where are you at on that?
Well, so I make way more early morning bets.
Yeah.
But my preference is late night. Like if the market was just created equal.
Yes.
Like I hate getting up in the morning. I'm notoriously very, very morning challenged, so to speak. It's hard like I set alarms an hour before I have to wake up. I sleep through alarms sometimes. I mean, I don't like being up in the morning.
Yeah.
But sports betting, the way that I do it, morning is more valuable to me than late night.
And doing both.
I'd love for it to be reversed because I am up till at least 1 a.m. every single night, if not later than that. That's how I live. But
the only times where I saw a bunch of late night I'll just tell the story. Where people want good content, so I'll tell the story. There was casinos in town that would only staff until midnight. And so that means like the kiosk were then unguarded per se after midnight. So I could go down at any time past midnight and it was...
Go to town.
I could go to town. It was go to town until somebody, some trader and across the world saw that someone had been standing there for 30 minutes at 1 a.m. So yeah, there were some big payoffs for certain nights, but again, that's one in a great while. And that's one that also they catch on to sooner than later. So
it's tough.
Yeah. Tough business.
All right. Hey, guys. Love the podcast. I've been learning a ton from you. Appreciate the mix of sharp insights and fun stories. So you got a little fun story right there. I'm curious, when it comes to bankroll management, how strict are you with your own rules? Do you ever break your own guidelines if you really love a bet, or is that a slippery slope? Keep up the awesome work. I want to preface what I'm going to say. You can go here first.
No, I want to, because I think we're going to say, and we're going to sound...
Yeah.
Out of touch.
Well, let me just say this.
This is going to be like a bet the process segment here. We're going to sound aloof.
For most bettors, bankroll management is extremely important.
Agreed.
Right? You need to have this down to a science, right? You can't be going nuts. You can't be placing 1 unit on this and then 28 units on something else. You can't do that. But I think you get to a point where the bankroll management almost becomes innate.
Yeah.
Like you don't even think about it anymore. It's, to your story at the beginning, right? Which is like, if I lose every bet today, it's going to be a terrible day.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
You've just kind of learned to do that.
And I would say some of the stuff I'm betting on, there's no realistic amount of liquidity that's even going to get me to like 1 unit of my, what I'll call, net worth theoretical bankroll. Like it's hard to do this without sounding like a huge douche, but people know.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Where it's like yes, if I wanted to bet Sunday NFL for 250K a pop, then I'd have to be that the bankroll thing would be back, but I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So I no longer have like this separate pot of money that's 10K that I'm doing units or a percentage of that.
Yeah.
You're kind of trying to get down what you can get on a play, and
it's bad advice, for the average person.
Yeah.
But it's just the reality of our situations. To answer the question, like, would I ever, let's say I was like even just a slightly positive winning bettor or a casual or somebody who just found an edge, would I ever break my own guidelines if I really loved a bet? No. I would not recommend someone do, unless it was like you are actually
anthem.
Certain about the edge.
Yes.
Someone sends you, hey Rob, they filmed this NHL All-Star game thing yesterday in Vegas, shooting pucks in the fountains at the Bellagio.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I'm okay. Like, this guy's always sent me info and it's always been right. I'm gonna mash this thing. But if it's you think you have like a bigger edge because Max Scherzer's on the mound tonight and you love Max Scherzer, pump the brakes.
I always use this comparison. Your life and your happiness when you go from $0 to $1 million, the difference in that is so significant and change.
Yep.
The difference from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 is minute or almost nothing. So if you go back from $1 million to 0, that to me is kind of what I always think of in my head as. And so if you're using a $5,000 bankroll or something, if you lost if you go from 5,000 to 0, that pain and that angst, and that is going to be significantly more than if you went from in one night 5,000 to 7,000.
Totally agree. Love the show. I have a question that might be a bit outside the box. What's something in your life that you approach with the same analytical mindset as sports betting? Whether it's finances, maybe an everyday decision, do you always have that edge mentality? I have a few examples.
Yeah, I know you're going to have a few. I would say when I'm now shopping, we'll use it as like a top-down approach. When I'm going to buy something, especially if I know if it's not like a product that would be at multiple places, I'm going to, it's not like there's no Walmart, Kmart odds screen or any of those, but I will look around to, 8, 10 different sites just to check, you can do one of those searches in 5
really
minutes.
Quickly,
Yeah. So I will always shop for the best price for anything that I'm buying.
You heard it, Joey Corporate, infinite bankroll, still shops for the best price.
It's ingrained. Why would I pay if the exact same product is $99.99, one place and it's $120 everywhere else? Why would I not then buy and so, yeah, it's just now a way of life.
Yeah. Okay, so I think a few things for me. One is golf. So from an analytical mindset, a lot of people know this about me. Johnny used to roast me for this on the podcast every time. I track every single golf shot I make. Every single shot. Distance it went.
Oh, I didn't know it was that. Where
it went, because when I go to practice,
yeah,
I want to, like, you usually have a general idea. Like, you'll play around and you're like, I was, hooking everything today. You can go and you can work on that. But sometimes you really don't know. Even times where you're playing well, you don't know where your misses are coming from. You think back on the round. So for me, if I'm playing 4 or 5 rounds a week, I track everything because it helps me practice going forward. It's no different than how I track everything in sports betting, because I want to know where I'm at with everything. Do I push this further and not? So that's one thing. From a pure analytics mindset, this is actually insane behavior. I'm embarrassed to even say this out loud. But I designed like a model for buying wine. Okay?
Okay.
So I get a box of wine delivered to my house every like 1 or 2 months.
Yeah.
I like to drink wine. I'm not a wine connoisseur by any stretch of the imagination. I like to think I could tell the difference between like an expensive bottle and like an $8 bottle. I'm pretty certain I could do that.
Yeah.
But what I've done is I have a scraper that scrapes all the prices from the LCBO, which is our in Ontario, where we buy our alcohol from the LCBO. And I have another scraper that scrapes wine reviews from a website called Vivino. And I basically buy what I consider to be the best reviewed wines for the price that they're currently at. And I do this for every wine purchase. I know it's insane.
That's incredible.
I really like, I didn't know where you're going with that one. I wasn't expecting it to go there.
So I get, when I go to the liquor store, right, I can buy beer easily. I know what I like. I buy seltzers. I like High Noons. Like, I know that. But from a wine perspective, it's like overload for me, right? Because I know nothing about wine. It's like it's Argentina and Chile and Australia, Canadian wine, Napa, whatever. And I'm like, I don't fucking know.
You know, most people just like search this on Reddit, wine recommendations.
But that doesn't work. I went down. So here's what happened. I was getting frustrated with people who would, like, buddies of mine who are like, oh, you gotta try this wine or whatever. And I'd be like, I don't know. So I've gone down this path. There's also another element to this, which is once I've tried it once, I don't care it's whether or not my wife enjoyed it or not. I do mark that as well. So if, I'll buy repeats if she liked it, if we both liked it. But it's a scientific process.
The crux of the question, has your wine enjoyment increased since you've started?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
I very rarely have a bottle now where I'm like, that was bad.
Okay.
Extremely rarely relative to previous wine purchases in life. What I've learned is that
I feel like there's like the
price of wine
side business there.
Well,
I don't know if
you'll go to a liquor store and there'll be 200 bottles of wine that are in $20.
Yeah.
How are you deciphering between all of those if you know nothing about it? So I just wanted to get it down to like a more, if you're leaving reviews on Vivino, like you're a wine snob. Like you're right?
That is fair.
You know what I'm saying? So that's it. So yes, that's my
I actually have a couple.
edge mentality.
Can I have a couple here?
Yeah, give.
Okay, so first one, I learned this off Johnny actually.
Oh well,
Johnny,
maybe we're not gonna like that one.
Well, he would calculate the expected value of paying for insurance on something like a car rental.
Sure. Okay.
So how much would it cost if you got into a fender bender to fix the car? And then what's the percentage chance you would give yourself to get into a car accident?
Well, you're pricing out your entire life now.
Yeah, you would price it out. There was a real life, no accident, but he did price it out in real life in front of me, which made me think. So, and for insurance, I won't maybe necessarily make an exact calculation, but I'll like try to guess based on the percentage chance of me getting a crash. Another thing.
I don't know. I'll let you go to the other thing in a second.
No, go ahead.
I don't know that I love that one because like, really dark and jaded here, but like, what if you're in Florida and you're like have to price the percentage chance that your house gets devastated by a hurricane? Like you're not going to take out insurance because you mispriced the probability.
but like betting, let's say I have like you said earlier, if I have a monster edge on something, I like plug it in like Kelly, and it tells me to bet like 20 units.
There hasn't been a storm here in 23 years.
You know, there's no way we're gonna 6% chance that my house gets taken out.
Yeah, but I'm not going to bet 20 units on something that Kelly says bet 20 units on.
Fair enough.
In that case, I'm not like if I go broke.
Yes.
And put all my bankroll on this. So that's basically you're betting your entire bankroll when you're not insuring your house. But for something like car insurance, when you're doing a small trip, you could price it in. So like betting, you could decide if it's just not worth the risk of going bust, essentially.
Right.
Second thing, I think it applies to a lot of sports, but specifically, I play a lot of darts, and darts is all about like math because of the combinations you need to get down to something you can finish on to check out, because you have to finish on a double.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So you need to give yourself the best possible opportunity to leave something in which you can hit a double. It's hard to explain to people who don't follow darts.
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
But you need to hit the outer ring. But in order to hit the outer ring, you need to be on a number that can leave you a combination which gets you to the outer ring to hit a double. So for instance, 166, you cannot check out because treble 20 leaves 46. But 170, you can do treble 20, bullseye.
There you go.
167, you can do treble 20, treble 19, bullseye. So you need to leave specific combinations. So as I'm playing, I look at surface areas of different parts of the dartboard, and I try to, in my head on the fly, kind of guesstimate essentially what is the highest percentage shot to leave myself something that I can finish on. Yeah. So that's where I would have that's like when you can really apply
darts.
Some Rain Man shit right there, man. No, honestly though, you'd have to play like that. Because everyone, like every pro plays like that.
I was gonna say that. I'm sure every pro is doing that.
It sounds like complicated, but also
through experience,
playing enough, you see what number you have, you know where to throw. But when you're initially starting, just figuring that out is complicated.
Rental car insurance. Let me give you. So I rented a U-Haul like 10 years ago to move.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was going to a different. As I took out the insurance.
Okay.
Thankfully. As I'm taking it back, I'm pulling out of one of the driveway and scrape a pillar. And bang up this U-Haul pretty good. Took it back to it was still drivable and all that. Took it back. They're like, did you take the insurance? And I was like, yeah, I paid for it. I'm like, all right, good to go. I mean, plus EV, it probably saved me a good 10 grand there because that side of the U-Haul was.
I guess the idea is over time.
Right. Would I have?
It's like now you could definitely, from personal experience, price the expected value of not paying for a streetcar or something like that.
Yeah.
Because if the ticket's like $100 and I'm paying like $4 a time, am I going to go 20 times on the streetcar without getting checked? Maybe 2 years ago, but definitely not. Definitely not now in Toronto.
Yeah. I mean, I do a lot of those things as well. I mean, parking downstairs, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm really lazy too. And sometimes I don't want to walk to the machine and wait for it to connect and get a ticket. So that happens. We'll do a few more here and then we'll wrap it up. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you smash that like button down below. Make sure you're subbed here on Circles Off. 50% of you watching today are not subbed. I don't understand what your problem is. It's easy. Just click that subscribe button. Like, what you do that? You seem like a guy that would watch a lot of YouTube content and not sub to the channels.
Yeah, I do. I am that. Yeah. You pinged me.
Scumbag.
But not for this show though. Not for this company. Subbed.
Of our 5 brands that we actively run.
Yeah. How many am I sub to?
Well, I'd set the over under at 2.5 with under being favored.
What are you taking?
I would take the over on 2.5.
I mean, it comes down to forward progress. You're not sub to edge work and the board.
No.
You're sub to Circles Off.
Yeah.
And you're sub to your own channel.
Yeah, of course.
So it comes down to forward progress.
I think he would be.
See, I think he's a competitive enough guy that he wouldn't want to give forward progress the sub.
You're right, because we were going head-to-head last year for most subs. So
it's easy.
No, I'm not.
I will say it's easier for us to grow because it's NFL, but you're not, right?
Correct.
So you're 2 of 5.
Yeah.
It's pathetic.
Yeah. The 2 that I'm on.
What a narcissist. Sean Perry level narcissism here. Okay, I know a lot of bettors are super data-driven, but I wanted to ask if you ever bet purely based on your gut feelings. Maybe it's a team you love or a situation that just feels right. Is that kind of stuff a total no-go for you? Thanks, and keep the episodes coming. Jared from Toronto. I've talked about this many times. I will often bet on stuff that is just gut feeling or like I want some extra enjoyment. If in the summer here, I'm going to go to Blue Jays games, probably go to 20 games.
Yeah.
I'm going to bet that, like the Jays or the over in every one of those 20 games just to give myself a little bit extra excitement.
I would sometimes live betting too. That like I might not be running a live betting model, but they're, and college football is one I can use an example where all of a sudden I'll see a defense makes a significant adjustment where let's say they're playing cover 2 and now all of a sudden they're loading the box and it's giving the other team a bunch of trouble. Yep. I'm sure there's a model out there that maybe, be able to like mix that in. But Joey K doesn't have it, but there'll be something where if I'm watching a game and I see something change like that, or a JK, in an NBA game where a team, changes the way they're playing a pick and roll or something, you're watching, you say, oh, they're really struggling with this person on the bench. So yeah, those type of scenarios, we'll bet them all the time.
You could see that with the dog jumping across your vision screen all the time.
Yeah. So, if I'm peeking around her and she's not wanting to, give a little scratchies, then yeah.
What do you do when you come out here with the dog?
All my family's in town.
Got it.
So
I don't want any animal cruelty stuff.
No, I'm not leaving her solo for 48 hours with
some sick stuff.
Yeah.
All right. This one's a lengthy question. I had a buddy who said I should get off of the offshore sites because now that the U.S. has legalized sports betting in many states, it would not be profitable for the offshore sites to continue to do business in the U.S., as all bettors would bet using the legal U.S. apps. But he seems to think that sports betting is such a large part of their business that they will just pack up and take all the customer deposits once they exit the U.S. So what is your opinion on the offshore sites disappearing due to the influx of legal sites? Sorry if this has been answered already. Thanks and keep up the good work, D.
I've got a strong opinion on this, but I got to be a little political on how I'm going to say it.
No, you don't have to be. I mean, I'd rather you just be honest. Like for me, the offshore sites will end once all the legal sites provide the stuff that the offshore sites can. And right now they can't. In some cases, I'm a big fan of good products, right?
Yeah.
Like the products we promote at Hammer here now, I'm always looking for something where they have like a unique selling proposition. So previously was Pinnacle for this channel. High limits, never going to ban you.
Yep.
Underdog now, very different type of game,
yep.
right? Like more of it's definitely a rec game, but like innovative.
Yeah.
Good product, right? FanDuel's another one of our partners. Really, in my opinion, really well-run sportsbook. I still see some of that in the offshore space. And in fact, I would say like a lot of the offshores run their sites better than all these legal apps. Plus, on top of that, I mean, there's still benefits for users to go offshore.
Yep.
Bonuses, especially.
Yep.
Like deposit bonuses, stuff like that. To me, it's got to be on each individual U.S. state to get their act together and say, like, no, we don't want money going offshore anymore. I don't see that happening anytime in the future. I also don't think that most of these sites would just pack up and take all the customer deposits.
No.
I don't think so. But it is, disclaimer, it is in the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
It's happened before.
It feels like it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Like in the early, heyday of offshore betting, there were some sites that happened to. I'm good. There might be some fringe ones that maybe you could see that in a scenario, but all of the big brand offshores, I think also they have such a customer base built up over a long time and don't have the overhead cost of the domestic legals,
right?
Where I just think they're making a lot more money.
Well, they don't pay taxes.
Yeah. And I don't think you have to spend gambling licenses as much on marketing. Oh, yeah. They've already got a massive book of players. Yep. So there's just a lot of advantages that especially the big brand offshores have that.
So I'm a big believer in betting in a lot of spots. Obviously, this doesn't go for every person, but like someone like Knish would have, tons of outs available to them. Most bettors, I guess they can't divide up their bankroll by like 40 different spots or something like that and have that available. But having, 3 to 5 is fine. I think that there are some offshore sites that still have a good product and are worthwhile. But if you're ever concerned about that, and I do think, I don't want to dismiss it as not being a valid concern. It is a valid concern. Just don't run up a huge balance with these sites. It's not like you need to have like 20K in every offshore site. You don't need to do that, especially if you're depositing in crypto. You can get money in and out really, really quickly anyway. So if that's a concern, just don't have a huge figure with these sites.
Yeah. I don't, especially with a couple of the big ones. I still have a very healthy balance at a number of offshore. So I don't think that feels like a long way away, if ever, in terms of a couple of the main offshores maybe not existing. So
Got it.
If you wanted to pull money out of your account and continuously put it back in so you don't have too much money in account, is there something that could help you do that?
Oh, this guy. Yeah.
Wow.
What a...
You might be in line for a promotion
I was
or
gonna
a raise
say,
or something like that. Putting it right up on the
senior
platter.
producer,
Of
executive
course.
producer.
I know it's been talked about quite a bit on this program, but I do like to promote companies and products that I believe in. Edge Boost, Visa card, fantastic product in the space. More and more people are using it now. You know, whenever you hear about some of this stuff in the early going, you're a little hesitant. You're like,
I was skeptical on this specific company the first time I heard about it.
People are, and it's totally understandable because there's been, scams and frauds in this industry in the past, but we have tons of people using Edge Boost nowadays. If you do want to get on Edge Boost, hit that link down in the description below and earn some cash back on your deposits. It's as simple as that. Like, Elf is doing like thousands a month right now in cash back. I know a few other friends, US based as well.
Yep.
That's similar type of deposit territory. Totally worth it if you're, regardless of what type of bettor you are, recreational, whatever. Edge Work, check it, the link in
Edge Boost.
Edge Boost.
Edge Boost.
Oh my God.
Edge Work, well.
I'm on Edge Work now, 1 day a week.
Well, I know.
I replaced Albert. Albert got hired by Fliff.
Yeah.
If I could short a company, if I could short Fliff with Albert there,
yeah.
I don't mean that if his employers see that. I do like that. I do like the kid. He is one of the biggest mushes. Everyone's got that one guy.
Yep.
Hope it works.
You're gonna need an Edge Boost if if you're.
I mean, Edge Work Wednesdays if you want to catch me giving out hockey picks.
Yeah. Big upgrade, maybe the biggest upgrade in the history of any content, going from Albert to the Pizza Man.
Yeah.
In terms of plays that might actually win.
Yeah. If you talk to Shipper, he would say going from Jeff Feinberg to Joey Knish on Circle Back.
Yeah.
I wonder why Johnny never picked this question. I think it's because he doesn't watch movies. The question is, what's your favorite movie of all time?
It's a great question.
Johnny's not a big
not a movie guy.
Well, like I don't think he does much outside of like, he's doing some training, some sparring, stuff like that. Like, outside of that, I don't think he watches like TV or movies. He's not into pop culture stuff.
It's fun. Powers, Brad Powers from Hit the Books, who I do the show with, great college football show on this network, has had a lot of like takes on Twitter in the last year or two about how movies in general seem to have like the market changed, right?
Yep.
Where movies used to be super popular. There used to be all different spans of types of movies. And now it became like, it was either like indie niche film with no budget or massive Marvel superhero movie.
Yep.
And now even the Marvel superhero movies aren't doing as well. It's like, I don't know. It feels like movies are at an all-time, but to answer the question, token answer for Rounders is obviously one of my favorites.
Yeah, you mean you're based off of
yes
John Turturro's character.
Yes.
Who the younger Gen Zs actually, they thought when you joined the first Twitter Spaces, you were like a real Joey Knish in life, like a poker grinder, rounder.
Right. So I will say though, Heat.
Yeah,
with
love Heat.
Pacino, De Niro.
Love
Heat. My God. That movie was probably 20 years ahead of its time in terms of like, if you watched that in like 2015, you'd be like, oh, this just came out like, a month ago.
What's the podcast that Bill Simmons does?
They've done like 3 episodes on
Rewatchables.
Heat. The Rewatchables.
The Heat ones.
Yeah.
I've watched Heat. It's in my top 10 for the amount of times I've watched it in my life. I love Heat.
Oh my God.
Really good movie. I hope they don't ruin it with the next installment that's coming out.
Are they doing another one?
Yeah, they are.
Okay. Same.
I don't know.
Okay.
Have you ever seen Wayne grow in like anything else ever again?
A couple of things.
Okay.
But they were like very niche roles again, similar to how he was in that, where he's just kind of like a very low profile supporting actor. But
it's really hard to pick a favorite movie. I think Goodfellas is my favorite movie.
Okay.
And the next one, like another one that I would debate, people will say I'm insane. They'll be like, how could you like, this is a disrespect, sacrilegious to even bring this up. But because I've watched it so many times, and I don't think that there will ever be another comedy like it, Dumb and Dumber is one of my favorite movies of all time. I fucking love Dumb and Dumber. I could recite it from start to finish, and I still laugh at all the jokes.
It's as you said, like I feel this way kind of about how like the Will Ferrell prime and like the Vince, like the old schools and the super bads and stuff.
Yeah,
like that's not coming back. You know, it's like
you just don't get that. Like
like you won't get a Dumb and Dumber movie ever again.
I don't think so.
Like that genre of comedy or that style of comedy is not coming back.
Yeah. But Goodfellas, I'll officially say Goodfellas as my favorite. All right, just a couple more, and then we're really going to wrap it up. These are like more personal. So I like to always end with if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? Don't say Detroit.
I'm
living where I want to live.
Yeah.
Michigan
Love
man
it.
For life.
Yeah, Detroit man for. See, there's a few things. If what I do now wasn't a thing, right? Like I've always dreamed of, having a place in Hawaii or like one of the Hawaiian Islands and that. But
you and Simon Hunter both.
But you can't really be a great mover when you're out on a Hawaiian island.
It's really weird how that. I need to get to the bottom of that story.
Yeah,
I was hoping I would run into Chad Millman in Boston because I saw Jeff Ma, and I said, you're not moderating this year. You're an actual panelist. He's like, yeah, Chad Millman's my moderator. I'm like, hey, have him reach out to me and see if we meet up. It didn't happen. Whatever. I need to know that Simon Hunter Hawaii story.
Yeah,
like I need air.
Yeah,
more than I need it, because I just need to know how this guy who was in Jersey or Philly, one of those, that area, got sent to Hawaii, apparently like all expenses paid trip, where they were mad at him. None where some other bettors were mad at it. I don't know, but someone really should have pressed him on that.
Yeah,
I need to know the answer.
Yep.
It's one of the got the 7 wonders of the world. Mm-hmm. That's one of the 7 like Simon Hunter wonders.
Yep.
I also need to get to the bottom of that draft day story that he had, or the draft room story. I believe, because I already talked to Eager about this. He didn't consult for the Panthers on the draft, so it must have been the Texans. If anyone has an insider in the Houston Texans organization that can confirm that he did not consult for the Texans at this time, reach out to me at Rob Pizzola on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because he claims that he was trying to get them, I believe the stories he tried to get them to take Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. Yes.
He went into the boardroom, as he described it. He pitched Richard, and the whole room went quiet, is what he said. It went quiet for a reason, because it turns out he's not a very good quarterback.
There was nobody in this boardroom, and he was at like a WeWork by himself. Yeah.
That too.
I would tell you, I always thought there was a time during COVID.
Yeah.
I thought about going to a few like Medellin and a couple of like South America, mostly for the Latina women.
Gringo Pig.
Yeah. I talked to him frequently at that time, but just to be able to like go through a few like Central and South American and sleep with as many Latina women as I possibly could.
That would be a 0.
Yeah.
All right, last one.
Where's yours? You didn't answer.
Oh, that's a good point. So I'm actually living where I want to be right now.
Here we go. You told me not to say Detroit, and you're going to stand for the 51st.
Yeah, it's Detroit, man.
Yeah, sorry. I like Toronto a lot more than Detroit.
I mean,
I've been to Detroit several times.
Yeah.
And I listen, to each their own. I do have dreams of living in Europe someday. But this would be post-betting.
Yeah.
Because it's a little bit more challenging. I love the European culture a lot more. My favorite trips, I like also, I've taken lots of great trips, but I've had the best times in Europe. Where? I don't know. Scandinavian countries are viewed as like the best spots to live.
Yeah.
Sweden, especially. Not Scandinavian, but a lot of people talk about Switzerland as well. I haven't visited these places, so I don't know. But I don't see that being the spot, because the issue I have in Toronto is the climate, right? I don't like the winters here.
Okay.
I like to get away. So for me, it's going to be somewhere that is
Or you're not gonna like Sweden.
No, I'm not. Like maybe southern Spain, something like that.
Do you feel? And I hear what you're saying with some of those. Do you feel like? When I've gone to like Mexico or one of the everything is just like slower. Like there's less, especially if you go to one of those. Like there's less going on. Do you think that lifestyle would be? Like when you live in a bigger city in North America, there's kind of a very fast-paced, like productivity style, like life that, I mean, we really, just as we're working here, like everything going off, we'll do some other stuff. Do you think you'd be able to adjust to the wind down of a?
Me personally, yes.
Okay.
So like there was a period of my life where I prioritized nightlife as like my number one. I lived in the downtown core, like a couple blocks from here, with my girlfriend and who's now my wife, but I love that for a long time. Now, you know, I go away and I meet friends for 3 days, and I'm like, I can't do that again.
Yeah.
Like I prefer the more relaxed vibe, right? Like for me, a place where I can golf, a place that has a beach. Where I like to live comfortably and eat well. That's going to be the most important. It's like a spot that is known for food. So very different, and that might change 5 years from now. But yeah, it's an interesting question. Like ideally, I'd like to have two different spots.
Yeah,
right. I love Toronto, and I love this city in the spring and summer.
Yeah,
I put it up there with the best in the world. I tell people all the time, don't visit Toronto in the winter. Why do you want to do that to yourself?
Right.
It's not even that cold, but it's colder. Like you can't enjoy the city as much. So I love Toronto in the summer. It's just like those winter months. I need to be somewhere else. I do need to be somewhere else. Last question, then we're wrapping. Very introspective question. What's something that people would be surprised to learn about you? If it's going to take you time, I can give mine.
Yeah, go ahead.
So people don't realize I'm a very emotional person. So people, I think I come across as being like a hard ass. It's the way I talk. It's a little bit arrogant. I get it. But I'm actually extremely emotional. Like I'm the type of guy that cries in movies, TV shows when like a main character. I don't want to give spoilers, but I was watching.
Wedding?
Red Wedding I knew was going to happen. Red Wedding, I had read the books before the Red Wedding happened. I lived that through my wife, who did not know what was going to happen. That was a rough one for her.
Yeah.
But, what's that? The show with Sterling K. Brown on Disney Plus right now. I can't remember what it's called. I was watching that with my wife, and there's an emotional tearjerker episode. But I'm that guy. I'm a very emotional person. Paradise. That's the one. Interesting concept. One episode is just like really got me. But that's I think people would be really surprised to know that.
I will say this is low 20s. Before I got into betting, I was like obsessed with fitness, and like to a point of.
I mean, this is surprising.
I know, surprise. Where
great answer.
Where like I could, for my weight, like I could bench over like 350 pounds. Like I was weightlifting at like, I don't know. I mean, for a few, like probably from 18 to 23 at like an obsessive, I might have taken some substances that can help you with weightlifting. And I was like,
they also do the shrinkage.
Well, you know that
that's your prime where the girls are excited because you're chiseled. But then they see the goods.
Yeah, and you get a little underwhelmed. Yeah. You can be, that's not the first time it happened. But, where I was, just, it even caused me some issues where I was taking so much of the substances for a while. Mm-hmm. It actually was like enlarging my heart a bit. Like I went to the doctor and they were like, you have to stop and so that took me out of, and for kind of a long time, I was out of it, and I've gotten back. If you've watched the progress on Hit the Books over the last few years, a little back, but there was a time where it was like the main component of my life. And I'm not really sure. I didn't, it was like I was broke. I didn't have a lot going on. It gave me like a sense of self-worth, just being like, being in really good shape, being able to lift a ton of weight and that. And so, that was it was a period of a life that I do it a little different now, a little bit healthier.
Now you do your bicep curls with bags of money.
Yeah.
Instead.
Or but it for somebody who was, when you're battling some stuff in your younger days, it gave me, I don't know, a sense of purpose. And I probably took it to an extreme that was, it was definitely unhealthy.
I'm honestly really surprised about that. It's not. I'm not just making a joke.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem in character for you. I mean, that was a long time ago, but I mean, the question was
it's something that you wouldn't. I'm number one to. I never liked sharing fit. This is before. Now, honestly, I go to the gym now. And literally,
you
like,
don't have to say honestly to me.
No,
like,
but
I believe you.
No, but like half the people there are in some fashion like recording themselves or doing that. This is so I worked out pre this era, and so I was never big on like posting about it, talking about it, doing social media or any of that stuff because it was kind of before that time. And now it's like, maybe Joey K would have been the new Bradley Martin, Joey influencer at some point in life. So
should we get you a fight at Rough and Rowdy?
I was gonna say, can you book?
Who would you want to fuck up in the ring?
Moretto, Jason, or people that don't work for this company.
I think you're 0 for 2 in both of those.
You think I lose both?
Jason does like kickboxing. I think Jason will mess you up.
Jason does Muay Thai.
Yeah, he'll mess you up.
I'm taking him out.
Moreto's got significant reach on you. Like
he's like a beanpole. He's like 150 pounds. If we're doing UFC, I get him on the ground, it's over.
I think it's Rough and Rowdy's just boxing matches, right? Because I remember Nadu fighting Jersey Jerry.
I know. I remember that. Yeah, it was a really tough. That was a really tough.
But Moreto's one of those guys who just put a hand on your head and keep you at distance.
It might be. Boxing would be a little tougher. I'm still taking him out though. Like I'm still 2-0 there.
Who's your arch nemesis outside of the Hammer?
Outside of the Hammer, somebody I'd love to actually swing. It's fun. As I've gotten older, a lot of these old beefs, who I'd love to go at? Spanky. Really? Get his old ass in the ring and shut him up. The little chirping. I've always said, for the right amount of money at Bet Bash, I would fight him.
I think he would KO you within a minute, but if he didn't, I mean, There's no great way of saying this, but I guess his cardio's not that good. Like, I don't know how many rounds Spanky can go.
I don't know. I mean, if you put a ring at Bet, I feel like he's a little bit missed opportunity there. But like, I love to again. To me, it'd be worth. I've
heard that it's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. Well, then you have to get the fights like sanctioned and stuff like that. There's a lot of things.
You can't. Right.
But I've heard that they've been really seriously looking into the possibility of hosting some fights at Bet Bash.
I gotta tell you, that would be.
I'm excited.
That would be so electric.
Oh, and would they if they booked action on it? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I would.
Oh my god.
Johnny's trained boxing like a couple years.
Yeah.
He hasn't had an official fight.
Right.
I think they're just waiting for some duster to throw his way so he can get like his confidence up in his first fight because he had a serious gym. I would love to watch Johnny like KO Man of the Library or something.
Man of the Library would be a great one to
like
really
watch that fedora fly off his head.
Yeah.
As Johnny just fucking rips him in the jaw. Oh man.
Honestly, this is a bonus question. What would be your answer for this, Rob? Who would you fight?
So listen, this is a huge cop out. This is a enormous cop out. I can't see. I can't wear contact lenses because I have such a bad stigmatism that it bothers my eyes so much. And I can't not wear glasses. So I cannot actually fight someone. When I was younger,
I wear like the what's the NBA player that did like the
Horace Grant. I do wear those for basketball.
Yeah.
Like,
I've seen
there's
him.
a Blue Jays pitcher like Brett Cecil used to wear these they're not even goggles. They're more like but getting hit with those on.
Yeah.
The Edgar Davids.
Yeah, there's so many players along those lines, but so I can't. So this is just fictional, but like if I wanted to fight someone, I don't know, like who are my enemies? It's Simon Hunter's like.
That would be great.
He's way bigger than me. He'd rock me. Like I gotta be real.
He?
I think so.
I guess I don't. I don't know.
That guy's got at least 100 pounds on me. Like he's.
You think he's 100 pounds small? I mean, you're definitely taller than him.
How much do you weigh, Rob?
I don't know. We're gonna have to get the.
I feel like you think if you spent 6 months at Johnny's gym for a boxing match with Simon Hunter.
Well, also here's the problem. I know myself, right? So even if I was in one of these fights, I wouldn't have it in me to train for it. I would just view it as a colossal waste of time. Through the summer, I'm gonna not golf so I can go to the gym and spar with people.
Honestly, signed
I'd fight Hitman. I want to fight Hitman. I'm pretty sure I could rock Hitman's
I just want to put a disclaimer: neither Knish or Rob are saying they want to fight some people, so don't.
Oh, I would fight Spanky for the right dollar amount. I mean, there's a price for everything.
I don't want like people taking the Simon Hunter one out of context. Like, oh, Rob's calling out Simon Hunter to fight him.
No, they can. Whatever. It's good for engagement.
If I'm getting booked at Bet Bash for the right amount of money, then I'm spending I'm signing up for a boxing gym. I'm spending the entire summer training for that baby.
See, the people
you have that vendetta.
I
would not let myself lose without giving
right. Like they're gonna have to knock me out. And at least I'll go down with. It's not gonna be like Nadeau and Jersey Jerry where it's like no, it's gonna be.
If I lose, if I lose, I put everything I possibly can to make sure I didn't.
Yes.
So I have to just say, all right, I lost.
Like I can take the L, but I'm going in. Like I'm giving it everything I got into that.
See, like all my internet wars have been with people who are much larger than me. Now that I think about it, like that guy, that Farley bets, Chris Farley. Like he's pretty physically. Like he was in the military. Like he's gonna fuck me up if we ever fought. I don't want to fight him.
You think you beat up Philly Godfather? He's old, right?
Philly Godfather, fuck him up. Johnny the Greek, I will rock those dentures right out of his mouth.
I was gonna say some of those guys now are pushing like.
I don't know.
I don't know. They've been around a long time.
I think Fezzik would fuck me up though. Fezzik's big, and he's like, I don't know, because I don't know how the age difference affects things, right? Like I'm in my late 30s. If you're fighting someone in their 60s and they're in like peak physical condition, who has the edge? I don't know.
I don't know. Mike Tyson.
I was gonna say we saw Tyson Paul and
right. But Tyson was in like a wheelchair 6 months prior to that fight, and Paul's training every day.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. I would love to see fights that don't involve me at Bet Bash.
I got to tell you, if they ever pull that off, I mean,
Zilbo wants to fight Book It Trent. He's been like on that he's been challenging him to a fight for a long time.
This is such a good idea. If they could
it's like, it would legitimately especially because the clientele that you would have interest in has a lot of capital. You know what I'm saying?
This would be a lucrative investment.
Insanely lucrative. Yeah.
If Zilbo fights Trent, I want to be in Zilbo's corner.
Let's say, all right. Let's say they have
I want to be like, if you go down right now, like all you've worked for, that documented record of the last 10 years, it's gone. Nobody will remember that.
You're going to give him the 2.5K to not go down.
Yeah, you're going to be like Zilbo's cup man in there, like the manager, the guy that's like giving him the in-between.
In his mouth before he goes in and everything.
Full of marinara.
Like, oh, is he bleeding? Like, oh, no, it's just
him a banana between rounds.
Just a little marinara he's got on his face. We got it through in the rounds.
Silver would actually smoke, like he would rip a cigarette between rounds. But 100%.
Legit, Bet Bash, I mean, what's the real, like, people are paying $1,000 ticket for a full slate of Bet Bash fights, right? Like, are you, if you've got a full.
Like so like Spanky's always done levels of tickets, right?
Or
there's
VIP
general
tiers.
Admission, and then it's probably like the top tier where they throw in a few, because that money's got to go towards the fighters.
Right. Easy $1,000 per $1,000 whatever up on that ticket price for fight night.
It depends on what and
who,
what the card is. I need to know the card beforehand.
Yeah, you got to get a good card. But I mean, also
I'm not like a UFC guy anymore. I used to love it when I was growing up. I just can't keep up with it. Events are late at night.
Yeah.
Like when I'm doing shit with my wife, I can't do it.
I mean, maybe you get a little like Taylor Mathis versus Amanda Vance, like WWE style, like lingerie match. You get
straight to the cat fight, right?
Yeah. Well, that, I mean, you put that on there. You got.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No, probably not. But
I think Taylor Mathis is like due around that time, or like
I don't know.
But
fighting as a mom of a newborn would be great. But hey, I mean, just throwing that. That's one of the ideas out there for the card. Then you get, I don't know, you get like Jeff Ma who doesn't want to throw a punch at Jeff Ma?
John
Like,
Hyslop and Kirk Evans.
Yeah. Or Kirk and Tunes. Just,
no one. If you see Tunes, no one is going to want to fight Tunes.
No. But I'm saying
they're withdrawing from that fight, or they're not making weight or something like that.
Yeah.
This is a great idea.
If anybody ever is able to pull it off, it'd be like the most unforgettable night in like gambling history.
Yeah.
In the industry.
Years ago, I would have been like 21 years old. I fought just for content.
Yeah.
Robin Black, who is a trained MMA fighter. But never good, like bottom of the barrel type of MMA fighter. For content where we were in like an octagon, and it was how many times could he submit me in 5 minutes, and then we were in a boxing ring sparring. We had the headgear on, and it was how many times can he force me to go down in like 5 minutes. It was kickboxing, by the way. I can't see, dude. So I'm like literally like trying to spar this guy. I have no fucking clue, dude.
Does this video still exist on the internet?
I actually have a DVD copy of it.
Yeah.
I'll bring it in. I do have a DVD copy. I'll never forget. I had like no gym equipment. This was pre-planned without me knowing. So I just like showed up at work.
You had to have gotten like concussed minorly.
He submitted me four times in 5 minutes.
That's actually not.
But in fairness, he tried to submit me different ways.
Okay.
I will say the leg lock that he put me in caused damage for like a month afterwards.
Yeah.
My quad, I don't even know what happened, but it was fucked up. Like at least when he put me in an arm bar or a choke, I was tapping. That leg lock on me for like 1 minute fucking killed. The sparring, after a while, I gave up.
I was going to say, that seems more intense than the submitting.
Well, the real problem is when you're fighting like a trained like kickboxer, they can get you in any way possible. So he's punching me in the head, and we're like, it's not like he's trying to hurt me.
Right.
But he's giving me shots in the head, and then, you put your arms up to like make sure, it's kickboxing. Guys, and you know what, like when a kickboxer kicks you in the legs, even when they kick you at like half.
Yeah, you have no idea how much getting kicked in the leg hurts.
And they put the whip of like the hip into it. You want to die, dude. There was no way I was ever going to protect my face again after getting a couple kicks. My arms are just dropped.
Did you not have shin pads for this?
No.
That's honestly, that's crazy.
So I convinced myself at one point, I'm like, next time I get rocked in the head, I'm going down.
Yeah.
And I'm staying down. And they're trying to get me up off the mat. Like Cam Stewart is like, get up, Pizzola. I'm like, shut up. Like, you get in the fucking ring, man. I'm done with this. So yeah, but I can't see.
Yeah.
It's like hard to be, like, it's just all a blur. Everything's a blur. If somebody's standing 2 feet in front of me without my glasses on and they hold up fingers, I can't tell you how many fingers they're holding up. That's how bad the vision is. So could never do it. Anyways, that's going to be it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, that was good.
Even though it was only for a losing bet.
Hey.
You got some free Betstamp swag out of it?
Yeah, it was worth more than worth the trip.
You don't know that, but you're gonna have to pay tariffs on that when you cross the border.
I hope we're all united as one sooner than later.
I don't want to be I'd like to be united as one again, where like we go back to the same relationship Canadians had with Americans. This was like a gentle, friendly rivalry, but we got along. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't want to be one as a country.
Next time I come up, I was thinking of doing like a, just like, walk the streets and like in some like USA swag and just ask people their opinions on joining America.
I think it's like safe to do that.
Yeah.
We're still Canadians at heart.
Right. Yeah. No one's going to want to throw down. Maybe you get the
crazies.
Yeah.
You'll meet some people that agree with it.
Yeah, exactly. You will. You'll meet a lot of people that'll be they'd like to be part of the US. Anyways,
all right.
That's going to be it. Those circles off. If you enjoyed the episode, smash the like button. Make sure you're subbed here. Of course, go over to Hit the Books and sub there as well. But also, go over to Forward Progress and sub there as well. We're not just giving Hit the Books all the love. Forward Progress. Lots of draft.
And
the board, edge work, all of it. Draft stuff coming up for NFL as well, which will be released in the next couple weeks. So you'll want to check that out. Back next week with a brand new Circle Back and Circles Off. Peace out, everyone. Enjoy the week.